Welcome everyone to a new What If. Now, I'll be doing more sequels of unfinished What Ifs, so be patient. But the What If I'm making now is kind of have been done, but it was done in another language. So, for all you people who speak English, I'm gonna help. Yeah, that sounded wrong. I'm sorry. I don't get out much. Anyway, the What If is called What If Deku had a Maneater quirk. Let's go. So we start off at a day when Izuku's 4 and he's on the beach. Right before the quirk doctor visit, Izuku on his 4th birthday. Yeah, this is going to be his 4th birthday, so yeah. Izuku's like on the beach having fun, and his mother's watching also on the beach. As she notices Izuku playing in the water, as she calls over to Izuku, "Izuku, be careful. Watch out for stingrays." As Izuku says, "Okay, Mom." Splashing in the water still, but making sure he shuffles his feet in the sand. Are stingrays native to Asia? Or at least Japan? Like, I've seen them eat pretty weird stuff, but I think I've seen them eat stingrays before. Was that Australia? Well, when you're an aquatic life, you're bound to get anywhere in the ocean, so yeah. So as Izuku's watching carefully for stingrays, and he decides to go out of the water and build a sandcastle. As he grabs one of his buckets and fills it up with sand and puts water in it, because you probably know this, but you need wet sand to make a perfect sandcastle. Because if you use dry sand, it's just going to be a lump of sand. Anyway, back to the story. Izuku is in the middle of making a sandcastle as something awakens in him. Something strange. As Izuku goes over to his mother and he asks, "Mom, can I go into the water?" As Inko says, "Of course, Izuku. But don't go too far." As Izuku says, "Okay." As he walks off into the water, he starts splashing again. But he tries to go swimming, but he remembers he has to stay in Inko's sight. Izuku, we see him still splashing into the water, but dunking his face into it and not getting his eyes hurt. Because in anime, whenever someone's head is dunked underwater in the ocean, it doesn't burn their eyes, but in real life, it does. Sorry, just having a traumatic memory. Anyway, Izuku is full-on dunking his head into the water to check out what's underneath. But every time when he dunks, his vision gets surprisingly, incredibly better. As Izuku thinks, should I go deeper? But Mom will be upset. And then he thinks again, but my mom doesn't know won't hurt her? So he goes in deeper and deeper. to the point where Izuku cannot be seen. Inko, with sunglasses, remembers to check on Izuku. And she says, Izuku, are you there? And then she doesn't see Izuku anywhere. She starts to get worried, but maybe Izuku's in the sand somewhere, playing. As we cut back to Izuku swimming in the water, he's just having a grand old time. As he spots some fish that he tries to make friends with, but they always swim away. But he ends up in a coral reef. He swims through the coral. Yeah, he swims through the coral, playing with it. And he tries to touch the sea anemone, but ends up getting stung. So yeah. But we cut to a point where Izuku's chasing a big fish, like a grouper, but not too big that it'll swallow Izuku whole. This grouper is trying to get away from Izuku, thinking that he's a predator. On that. As Izuku thinks in his head, wait, I just want to make friends. As this grouper hides into a little cave in the coral, ends up scratching himself, causing blood to drain out. As Izuku stops and he's thinking, okay, how am I going to fit in there as the blood enters into his nose? Yeah, and this Izuku can go into the water without getting his nose hurt. Like, how do people do that? I've seen my dad Key open his eyes in salt water. Like, witchcraft? Anyway, back to the story. As Izuku smells the blood and starts thinking, that smells good. As his quirk finally awakens and he turns into a tiny shark pup. A green one at that, but a bull shark which has green splotches. As Izuku, now in his shark form, chases the bass, not for making friends, but for food. As this bass tries to get away from this tiny predator, as this bass is too slow, and this baby bull shark just eats him. Yeah. As Izuku, now in his shark form, thinks, that was tasty. Wonder what's next. As he swims towards a group of baby sea turtles and thinks, ooh, tiny treats. Yeah, this is going to be a weird story. As Izuku goes in to bite a few, as they kind of hurt his teeth, but he gets used to it for every turtle he eats. As Izuku is almost full after eating 6 turtles and 1 big grouper, as Izuku looks up to see a bottom side of an adult man. And unfortunately, this guy had a cut on his leg. And unfortunately, Izuku now being a shark, he went for it. As Izuku looks up to think, nom nom. Yeah, I'm gonna add in some king shark references, so what? Like, he's so sweet. Well, kind of scary, but sweet. As Izuku swims up, closing his eyes. If you didn't know, sharks do have eyelids despite having no bones. As Izuku bites at the swimmer's leg, as on the surface, a man is having a nice time until he feels a sharp pain in his leg. As he screams, "Ah! What is that?" As he tries to shake it off, and only to see more blood ensue. As he says, "Someone help me!" As the lifeguard notices what's going on over there, and he says, "Everyone get out of the water, there's a shark attack!" As Inko, she's not too far, but she's able to hear. As she asks, "Have you seen my son?" to the lifeguard. And the lifeguard says, "What?" As Inko says, "Have you seen my son? He has green hair, freckles, a bit of black also in his hair, and very small." As this lifeguard says, "No, but there's a shark attack happening." And Inko says, "But the last time I saw my son, Izuku, he was in the water." As the guy keeps on screaming until he sinks into the water, as more blood ensues. As this lifeguard gets into the water and swims over, as he sees a former shark fin in the water tearing at the guy's leg, as he grabs the shark by the tail. The shark turns around. The lifeguard notices that it's a baby bull shark, and this baby bull shark just bites his hand off. Yeah, causing the guy to end up, losing his hand. Yeah, this is going to be confusing also. And unfortunately, he had to grab a rock to scar the shark on his side and the dorsal fin. As the lifeguard just grabs the swimmer and just gets him to shore. As he says, "Ma'am, I don't know what the heck is in there, but it's not a regular shark." As this shark is, reveals his dorsal fin, and it appears to be so small. As Inko would see this, and she would see that it had a scar, this tiny bull shark disappears. Not long after, Izuku's washed up ashore. Inko looking down on him. She's happy that he's okay. Wait, let's cut back before Inko found Izuku. Izuku's washed up ashore. As everyone's calmed down, the lifeguard is getting a towel wrapped around his arm along with the swimmer with his leg. As the heroes arrive to find this shark. Well, one of the heroes, All Might, yeah, he's gonna be one of those characters. As he asks a green-haired lady, he says, "Young, miss?" As this green-haired lady would say, "You're," as All Might says, "Question, is this your son?" "Well, is that your son?" Pointing to a little green-haired kid washed on the beach. As Inko says, "Izuku." As she runs over to Izuku and tries to see that if he's okay. doing CPR, which would be weird, but yeah. Izuku comes to life again, coughing up a lot of water. As Izuku said, what happened? As he's instantly hugged by his mother and says, don't you ever scare me like that again. As Izuku says, what do you mean? As Inko says, you went lost for a whole, 15 minutes. And did you know there was a shark in the water? As Izuku says, no, I don't remember any shark. As Inko asks to see what's on Izuku's back, as Izuku says, I don't know, but I felt a sharp pain when I woke up. Showing his back to see a similar scar that the shark had, but she brushes this aside. As they get him to the hospital or the doctor's office. Yeah, they get him to the hospital to get him fixed. And also, during the process, the doctor analyzed if Izuku had a quirk. As Izuku has now, how should I say this? Bandages on his back, to the side of his, I think the Maneater shark had a scar on the side of his face, her face. Yeah. As the doctor says to Inko, well, Mrs. Midoriya, I've got good news. Your son is A-okay. There's no evidence that if he was attacked by a shark. As Inko says, don't remind me. Having a face that instantly says, traumatizing shark incident. And the doctor says, oh, by the way, your son has a quirk. As Izuku hears this and instantly smiles. But the doctor says, but keep this a secret to him. Passing Inko some notes. As the doctor says, read this to yourself. I don't want to scare the kid if I were you. As Izuku says, what are you guys talking about? As the doctor says, nothing, young man. Here you go. He grabs a lollipop and he says, have a lollipop. Yeah. Let's say the doctor, doctors treat little kids after appointments, giving them a lollipop in this what if. Which sounds strange, I know, but it's my what if. I am God. Anyway. As they get home and get all the sand off and change into their normal day clothes, Inko opens the notes in her room while Izuku is in his room excited that he can be a hero, just like All Might. As Inko, we cut back to Inko opening the note as she reads what is Izuku's quirk. Inko reads that Izuku's quirk is known as Maneater, which the doctor named because, Izuku's quirk allows him to turn into a shark. Shocking, I know, but a species of shark, a bull shark. And as Inko reads this, and she starts getting a scary idea. Not scary as in she's planning something evil, but has an idea that scares her to the core. But she brushes it aside, thinking that it must be a coincidence. As she also reads that if Izuku gets enough power, or as if Izuku trains enough, he can gain different abilities, such as about 4 different abilities. Bone Breaker, Shadow Mist, and Electrosphere. The Bone Breaker simply just gives him weird bony-like armor along with bone-like teeth and a very powerful tail. As she also goes on to the Electrosphere, as it basically gives him tendrils that glow and turns him into lightning of sorts. And his bites shocking opponents. And the Shadow Shock, as I like to call it, it basically allows this is going to be the toughest one that he'll ever get. But it basically allows him to drain the blood of his opponents and regaining his health. And his body basically allows him to spread venom across the entire area. And finally, Atomic. It's basically he can shoot out laser beams, he has a hammer-like head, and he's covered in green or lime green spikes. As Inko reads all of this, as she's almost done reading of it, but Izuku says, Mom, what's my quirk? As Inko puts down the notes and say, oh, it's just it's very special, really, but yeah, very special. Izuku saying, yay! And running off into his room. Inko going back to the notes, and it also said, P.S. Your son may have the knack to eat other animals. As Inko reads this again to take it in, and she might be right with that scary idea of hers. As she buries this into her desk, I'm gonna say Inko has a job of sorts, like marine biologist, but let's say they have a lot of fish for pets, but she makes sure that they live, and she has a desk just in case if they ever discover new fish. But we're getting off track. Inko buries this into her desk and goes into the bathroom and just tries to think, looking into the mirror and saying, there's no way my little Izuku would ever hurt someone. As she's shivering a bit, as Izuku comes into the bathroom and says, Mom! As Inko turns around and says, Izuku, as Izuku says, hurry, I need to go. As Inko says, okay. As yeah, bathroom break. As Inko brushes this aside and says, well, maybe I can teach him. As we cut when Izuku's 7, and yeah. He's getting into more marine biology, just like his mother, and constantly asking what's his quirk. And Inko always saying it's something special, but with a scared look on her face. As Izuku wonders at this, what is my quirk? As Izuku one day is in his bedroom playing with his All Might figurine, along with in front of his fish friends. Yeah, let's just say Izuku has a fish tank which have a lot of long-living fish. Yeah, as Izuku says, plays with his All Might figurine and says, "Don't worry, I'll save you, fishies." As Izuku dunks his All Might figurine into the tank, not banging the glass, but trying to avoid the fish so he doesn't hurt them, or they hurt him. As Inko comes into the room and says, "Izuku, we're going on a..." Seeing Izuku dunking his All Might figurine into the tank, as Inko says, "Izuku, don't do that!" Wait, did I say Izuku or Inko? Yeah, I said Inko, right? Yeah. As Izuku says, "Oh, sorry, Mom," taking his All Might figurine and just closing the lid of the tank. As Inko says, "You do know what will happen if the fish end up catching a bite of your All Might figurine again." As Izuku remembers one time where one of his fish died just by biting on an old All Might figurine's head. Yeah, Izuku says with an upset tone, but Inko says, "Anyway, we're going to the aquarium." As Izuku says, "Yay!" But Inko says, "And your friend Katsuki's coming along." As Izuku says, "Oh." As they get into the car and get ready, as they're on their way there, Inko still remembers that day of that shark attack. She shakes his head multiple times as Izuku catches eye of this and asks his mom if she's okay. Inko says yes, that she's okay, and she's just thinking of a weird dream she had, which is a lie, of course. Anyway, at the aquarium, as they get into the aquarium, Mitsuki Bakugo is waiting there along with Katsuki. As Inko and Mitsuki catch on for a bit, Bakugo and Izuku are just distancing themselves from each other. Bakugo still angry, as always, being a total jerk. As Izuku's trying to hide behind his mother's leg. As they get into the aquarium, Bakugo keeps tapping the glass, and Izuku says, "Don't do that. They don't like it." Learning from his mother. As, during a big tank scene, you know, those huge tanks that contain a lot of different fish. Basically the same tank equivalent to the one in Aquaman. Basically the tank is that big. But Katsuki says, "I'm getting bored of looking through glass. I want to look through the water." As he notices one of the aquarium people, I'm going to call it another marine biologist that Inko has no clue of. And this other marine biologist goes up a stairway as Katsuki thinks, ooh, this will be fun, as he slightly follows this marine biologist, as Izuku tries to look back at Katsuki, but he's gone and he only saw his leg go up the stairs, as he tries to tell his mother, but she's too busy having a conversation with her friend. And telling you conversations, well, if your mother or guardians end up encountering someone that they know as a friend, it's gonna take forever. Anyway, Izuku goes after Katsuki himself, and Katsuki's looking over the railings now, saying, cool, these are a lot of cool fish. As Izuku finally makes it up there and he says, Kacha, no! As Katsuki says, or what? Sliding sparks in his hand. As he says, you cannot be up here. It says no children up here. As Katsuki says, so what? And Katsuki grabs Izuku by the t-shirt and throws him over him onto his back and holds him by the t-shirt again over the water and says, I hope there's some sharks in here, dropping Izuku into the water. As Izuku's in the water now, he notices a bit of blood has dropped from his old scars, as this unfortunately basically makes him, well, shark out. As Izuku starts turning into a teenage-sized bull shark, as Izuku starts swimming into the tank, as Katsuki goes downstairs, Mitsuki waiting at the bottom and says, Where did you go, Katsuki? As Katsuki says, Izuku went up there and I tried to stop him, but I couldn't find him. Which is a lie, of course. As Inko says, or thinks, I don't trust him, but I'm scared. As one person says, hey, look at that shark. It's green. As one marine biologist that was standing by and says, we don't have a green shark. Going up to the glass to see a green shark with some scars on his fins. As Inko recognizes, the shark's fin. As she thinks, it can't be. As she goes up to the glass, as this small, not small really, this teenage-looking shark looks at her, blinking, and then swimming away. And everyone's wondering why is it swimming away, as they see this teenage-sized shark come back with a sea turtle flipper in his mouth. Blood is spewing everywhere. All the animals are panicking. And this tiny shark drops the turtle flipper to the ground. As Inko is kind of scared, but finds it kind of cute. Mostly scared, though. Because, Yeah, it's a bit gruesome, but it's kind of like a dog wanting to play fetch. As Inko just tries to say, does it want to play fetch with me? As the shark just eats the flipper and just swims away again. As Mitsuki catches eye of this, and Katsuki, wondering what the heck is going on, as this bull shark comes back with weird-looking teeth now. They resemble bony plates. As this shark opens its jaws, as the marine biologists say, "Everybody get down!" As this green shark bites the glass with its huge teeth and basically breaking it, causing the area to flood. Everyone is screaming now because they just had a fish break through the glass with some weird teeth. Not just any fish, a shark. As Katsuki is saying, "We're gonna die, we're gonna die. Why did I throw Izuku into the fish tank?" And as he's gonna say the full sentence, Inko says, "You threw who into the tank?" As Mitsuki says, "Katsuki Bakugo, how dare you?" Slapping Katsuki's head. As Katsuki says, "Mom, we're in the middle of a crisis!" As they start to see a shark fin swimming towards them, a green one with a scar on his side. As everyone's getting scared to see it swim by with a clump of blood trailing behind it. As Mitsuki and Bakugo and everyone except for Inko are scared. Well, Inko's a bit scared, but she knows who this is. As this shark stops and starts circling around Inko. Inko getting a concerned look on her face. As she knows, when a shark circles around you, it's actually testing you to see how would you react. Inko stays still because this shark is not big enough to attack her. Then again, she does remember the day where that small green shark, aka Izuku, attacked the diver, and the lifeguard recalled that the shark being basically a pup. So she stays cautious as this shark finally, well, I don't know how to put this, but finally jumps out of water and basically goes into Inko's arms as if she's holding a baby. Inko catching this green shark and remembers that, of course, sharks are fish, so they need water. Keeping Izuku, this green shark's gills into the water. As this green shark, let's say, turns back into his original form, Izuku, having wet clothes and a bit torn at the back. And on the t-shirt, since he basically grew a dorsal fin out of that. As Mitsuki and Bakugo say, "Okay, what the heck was going on?" As Inko says, shaking, "It's true." A few days pass by and Izuku wakes up in a hospital. Inko waiting patiently at the side. As Izuku says, "Mom, I just had the strangest dream. As Inko comes in to hug Izuku and says, "Oh, Izuku, you're okay. You're okay." As Izuku says, "Mom, you're embarrassing me." As she noticed that Izuku's eyes are becoming more yellow. As she says, "When we were at an aquarium, the glass broke and it flooded in the entire area. The doctor, I found you with a glass stuck in your head." As that was a lie, trying to protect Izuku from the truth. As Izuku says, "Well, thanks, Mom, but I had the strangest dream." As Inko says, "What kind of dream?" As Izuku explains how he was seeing from the point of view of a bull shark, and he was basically hunting. As Inko says, Inko thinks, "I hope he doesn't remember the things he's done." As Izuku says, "When am I going home?" As the doctors, coincidentally and ironically come in and say, "Good news, Midoriyas. Good news, Miss Midoriya. Your son is ready to go home." As Izuku says, "Yay!" As they get home, as we do a time skip into the actual anime. Izuku's been writing a lot about marine life and how to be a hero with a quirk that he does not understand, and starts to think maybe he's quirkless, so he's made a How to Be a Hero Without a Quirk book as well. As one day, the teacher comes in with a bunch of papers, and he says, All right. We're going to be handing out tests to see what you do with your lives." And he says, "Why bother?" He throws the papers into the air and yells out, "I know you want to be heroes!" As everyone celebrates with their quirks. As Izuku just hides his face. And as he basically names all the students that are going to different schools, as we cut to the part where he explains the students who are going to UA. First one is Katsuki Bakugo. As Bakugo says, "Yeah, I knew it. None of you are going to UA because I'm the best." Ha 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 ha. As the teacher says, "And?" As Bakugo says, "And? Who the hell would possibly go to UA? I swear I'll kill that mother." And as he says, as the teacher says, "Izuku Midoriya." Bakugo pausing at this, remembering the day at the aquarium. As he turns around to see Izuku writing in his notebook. As Bakugo starts shaking. Him? As Bakugo shakes his head and say, "Him? He has no quirk. He can't go to UA. That's impossible. As Izuku catches hear of this and says, wait, they actually got rid of that rule. I could be the first quirkless he... And as he gets interrupted with an explosion on his table and thrown back to the classroom, as, well, Katsuki says, you won't be accepted for the best of the best. Heck, you'll probably die in exams. As Izuku is upset at this, the teacher sends Bakugo to the principal's office instantly because that was a wee bit too far. As Katsuki says, fine, exiting the classroom. We cut to when the school is finished, and Izuku's packing his things from his How to Be a Hero Without a Quirk book to his marine life book. As Katsuki grabs the marine life book and says, don't think we're done yet. As in this, well, let's say flashback, after Katsuki witnessed Izuku from being a shark turning into a small young boy himself again, let's say he told his friends everything about the aquarium. Yeah, as his, flashback ends now. Katsuki holding his marine life book and says, don't think we're done yet. As one of his goons say, what you got there, Katsuki? And then another friend says, what is it, his fishy book? As one of his other friends say, blub, blub, blub. You know how people depict fish in cartoons as, I'm just vibing. Blub, glub. As Izuku says, hey, give that back. As they start basically playing pig in the middle with it, as Bakugo finally grabs it and basically burns it with his explosion quirk. As Izuku's upset at this, as he says, I'll throw this where it rightfully belongs, knowing that the pond full of fish was in there. As Izuku says, hey, give that back. Bakugo doesn't tell him, he should kill himself or something, but, yeah. They just exit out of the classroom. Izuku goes outside to get his notebook. He says the same thing. As he walks to the shortcut, now I know this may be timelined horribly, but I'm trying to rush through it since I'm tired. Anyway, as he's under the bridge, he falls through an open manhole and enters the water. And for some reason, there's blood in the water, and unfortunately this awakens his shark instincts, instantly turning into the green bull shark once again. As Izuku is now the same size as an adult bull shark. As he's following the blood trail, as he notices a fight between two specific characters. One, the symbol of peace himself, fighting what appears to be appears to be a man made out of sludge. Sorry. As All Might says, haha, "You're quite swift for a villain," as the sludge villain says, "Get away from me, you freak," trying to get away into the water. The sludge villain, trying to swim away, says, "You'll never catch me," as the sludge villain looks towards ahead and starts seeing a shark fin. As he says, "What the hell?" "What?" As the shark fin is getting closer. As he notices the shark fin has a scar on it. And although he may be a villain, he needs to read the news. And his flashback was him reading the news. And it said that local swimmer and local lifeguard attacked by a baby shark with a scar on his fin. And he's instantly scared of that specific shark because, well, it's a shark, of course, but it had a scar on his fin and, well, it's said to be a baby, and it's still already attacking people. As this sludge villain is honestly scared and thinks maybe that shark is dead. Yeah. End of flashback. As the sludge villain say, "Oh Lord, get me out of here!" As this shark gets swimming faster and bites him on the leg. As the sludge villain say, "Oh, how is that even hurting? Ah!" Trying to shake off the shark, as All Might noticing that there's something in the water making a lot of splash. As the sludge villain says, "Someone help! Something's got my leg!" As All Might comes around the corner and says, "I heard you need help, but I'm gonna arrest you." As he says, "Just arrest me, do anything, just get me out of this flippin' place." Trying to shake off something off of his leg, as All Might punches the sludge villain, knocking him out cold. As he's trying to drag out, but something's basically playing tug-of-war with him. As All Might wins, after a few minutes of tugging and pulling, the sludge villain's completely in clops of slime, and also seeing a green bull shark with a scar on his dorsal fin. And All Might just thinks, I gotta get this shark into the water before it dries up. As All Might tries to kick it away, but this shark grabs onto All Might's leg. As All Might says, "Hey, get off." As the shark just lets go. As, All Might says, "Luckily he didn't bit me too hard." Trying to see if there's a bite mark there, which surprisingly there's not for some reason. As All Might says, "Okay, gotta bottle up this villain." As he finally bottles the sludge villain up, and tightening the bottle cap to the point where he cannot get out. As All Might makes sure the shark's not there, as All Might picks up a rat and says, I'm sorry. As he throws the rat into the water, making sure the shark's not there, and surprisingly the shark is gone. As All Might says, "Phew, sorry little guy," looking at the rat who is now soaking wet, as the rat lets out loud squeaks, which basically translate to, "Hey, why did you do that?" Yeah. All Might just basically comes out of the sewers, and yeah. wonders how the heck did a shark get into the sewers. As we cut to Izuku now. Izuku now in his human form, a few torn clothes here and there, mostly on the back. As he's now in a river. As one person notices Izuku in the river and says, "Hey, can someone get the kid out?" As everyone calls up the heroes, mostly Gang Orca, because, come on, it's an orca, and the kid is in water, unconscious. As Gang Orca finally arrives to the scene, Izuku is basically still floating, not in danger, but everyone's worried to see if he's alive or not. As Gang Orca gets into the water, Izuku waking up, feeling some form of scared, and as he sees this dorsal fin heading to him, he freaks out and, well, on purpose, turns into a shark. As he looks at himself and says, well, in shark language, he says, "What the heck? Am I a shark? Is this my quirk?" As Gang Orca only hears glub glub, glub blah blah. As Gang Orca says, "What the heck? It's a shark." As he kicks in, well, since I'm gonna say Gang Orca is a quirked animal in this what if. So if he's a person, I'm sorry. It's just I've been dying to do this, but as Gang Orca kicks into his primitive orca instincts, man, I feel uncomfortable saying that. Like, orcas are highly intelligent animals. You know what I mean, like primitive orca. Like, they chase after shark, they eat shark. You know, nom nom. As Gang Orca starts chasing around Izuku, as Izuku's trying to get away, like wondering, why is there a pro hero chasing him? Like, does this hero think he's a villain? As Gang Orca basically says, "I don't know what's happening, but I feel my great-grandfather's orca blood coursing through my veins." As Gang Orca swims faster. As everyone outside the water just see Gang Orca dorsal fin going in circles for some reason as the kid's gone. As everyone's wondering what the heck is going on. Izuku, having no choice but to head back into the sewers where he ended up from. As Izuku tries to get into the pipe, but he is having trouble because he's a fish now. He needs water. But, yeah. As Izuku's on his last jump, he finally clings onto the ledge and goes into the pipe. Gang Orca jumping out of the water but bumping his dorsal fin. Yeah. And finally, like, basically stops his orca instincts and say, what happened? As he sees a shark fin going into the sewers, flopping around. As Gang Orca says, "Is this a villain? I shall stop him." As Izuku's hearing all this and he thinks, "Oh, great. My throat's becoming dry. And now I got a pro hero after me." As Izuku finally gets into the sewage water, being able to breathe somehow, but it's kind of like stinky, so he has to plug his nose, but unfortunately, He does not have hands to plug his nose. He only has flippers. But Gang Orca grabs Izuku by the tail and says, who are you, villain? As Izuku starts shaking around and flopping around like a fish. As he's trying to say that he's not a villain, but they only hear as Gang Orca says, if you're just a regular shark, then why are you green? And why were you just a teenage boy just a few seconds ago, I think? As Izuku is just trying to get out of his grasp, and he thinks, oh wait, he's a fish. He needs water. As Gang Orca just throws Izuku out of the sewers, ricocheting him across the walls and into the river again. Izuku swims out of there like hell, and as he makes it to a place where he thought he'd be safe, he tries to turn back, and he does. Luckily, his house is not too far. He fixes his clothes because he's been learning how to fix clothes lately, since every time when he'd black out, his clothes would be torn apart. As Izuku finally fixes his clothes, turning back to normal, as Izuku comes out of the water and says, my quirk is a shark. As Izuku makes his way home quickly, as we cut to Inko basically cooking something for Izuku, like say katsudon, I think. Is that his favorite food? I do not know, but let's say it's katsudon. As Inko is humming something that her and her husband used to play before Sashi got shark attacked a lot of years ago. I believe 10 years ago. As Inko was holding a picture of her and her husband Hisashi and says, why did you have to go on that fishing trip? As Izuku busts in and says, Mom, we need to talk. This is where I have to leave it off, guys. Sorry. I think this may be longer than most of my videos, but hey, it's worth it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want more. Hit the bell notification to be notified for more videos. Anyway, bye-bye!